Hello, fellow Rebel Capitalists. Hope you are well, and I hope you're diversified. That is for sure. Today is a great example why you shouldn't have all your eggs in one basket. Silver down. It was down 30% today. Down 30% today. So I know a lot of you give me a hard time and say, oh, George, it's not crashing. Why do you have that in the title? Well, today, it is completely justified. But I guess you have to ask the question, A, what's the trend? Because even though it's up so much, you could still be in an uptrend. And B, what do you do now? Right? Do you buy, hold, sell? I just did a whiteboard video that just came out where I predicted that we would see massive volatility in silver. So you guys should check that out. I didn't think we would see this much volatility though. And I have to give myself a little bit of a pat on the back right now, because in Rebel Capitalist Pro, that's the monthly subscription service I have with Chris McIntosh and Brent Johnson and others. I do trade alerts. And if we go right over here, you can see 4 days ago, I did a trade alert where I sold my silver position. I had it in the PSLV. And so I sold that at 35.25. We'll see what it is today. But fortunately, if you're a Rebel Capitalist Pro member and you're watching my trade alerts, you would have missed out on this down 30% in 1 day move. This could be a buying opportunity, right? So we've got to think that through. Anyway, let's go over to the chart and see what's doing. So we'll start by looking at silver itself. Then we're going to go to the PSLV, and we've got to look at gold. I mean, gold itself is down well under 5,000 now. It's down to 48.44. So that's another question. What do you do with gold? Now, this is not investing advice. Personally, I'm not selling my gold because I rarely, ever sell it. I sold it some maybe 6 months ago, but that was just because it became so much of my portfolio that I wanted to get it back down to a reasonable percentage. But let's look at the chart here, guys. I mean, this daily chart is, I don't know if I've ever seen anything like this. I mean, it opened right around 115, and we're trading at 83. Holy cow. Another thing that I said in that whiteboard video is when you see these huge gaps up, you have to know that you're going to have a reversal. Now, it doesn't mean that it's not going to go back up to where it was or even higher. But when you have these huge gap ups on the candlestick, you know that it's just a matter of time before you have some big gap downs. Let's go over to PSLV. Let's see what's going on with the Bitcoin as well. Dollar, I think, is up big today. And people are blaming this all on Trump's pick for Fed chair. I don't know if that's really... what would that have anything to do? If anything, that's going to be more dovish. That should be bullish for gold and silver if you believe kind of the narrative on how the Fed controls interest rates. But let's go over to, oh my gosh, Josh, look at that candlestick, dude. Look at the intraday. And just using the PSLV as a proxy, I know it's not a perfect proxy, but look at this. Just today, we've been at 32 and we've been at 24. Just intraday. Wow. And you see these gaps right here? That's what I was referring to earlier. And when we had this gap down, that's right around where I sold at 35.25. As you can tell by that trade alert in Rebel Capitalist Pro. So if you have been a Rebel Capitalist Pro member and following my trade alerts, not that they're investing advice, I just tell you guys what I'm doing with my own personal portfolio, you would have been out way up here and you would have missed possibly the biggest down move in silver history. I don't know. I'd have to go back and research this. Maybe after the Hunt brothers blew up or something, you had a day where it was down. I don't even know what it's down now, 25%, something like that. And who knows where it closes. I mean, at one point, we're down at 24. And so just using PSLV, if it's down 25% and it's at 27.30, you know, how much was it down when it was trading way down here with a 24, a low 24, a 24 handle, but in the low 24s? And I mean, this could be just some shorts taking profits. I mean, you could come right back down. I mean, you could see a buy the dip into the close, but I think you're still going to see a huge, huge down day. That would be my guess. My guess is this kind of rolls over. But at the end of the day, I mean, how many sellers are there, right? At a certain point, all the sellers have sold. And all you got left is buyers. But let's go back to the candlesticks. I like looking at those. I mean, I mean, look at the size of this candlestick compared to all these. I mean, look at these candles. Josh, are you seeing this? Look at these candlesticks. Look at the normal candlestick for PSLV. Look at this. That's normal right in here. And look at it today. I mean, if you took the entire chart all the way from the bottom all the way to the top, the intraday move today is like 30% of the entire chart. Yeah, I've never seen anything like this. Have you, Josh? I mean, I'm not talking about silver. I'm talking about period, ever, in anything. And what I'm referring to specifically is not just the down move, but the intraday. The delta of the high and low intraday. I've never seen that before.
What made you sell your silver yesterday?
I didn't sell it yesterday. I sold it 4 days ago.
What indicators were you looking at?
So that's a good question. I bought, just in full disclosure here, I bought silver, well, PSLV. I bought it right around here. It was right around 26. I think, if my memory serves me right. So it was right around here is where I bought. And then it dipped down. I was almost going to sell here, but it didn't really break down too much. And it was a green candlestick. So I'm like, you know, it's bouncing into the close. I'll go ahead and hold it. And then it just completely rips all the way up to here. And I still had it. And Rebel Capital's Pro members were like, are you selling? Are you selling? Are you selling? I'm like, no, I'm not selling. The trend is your friend. And I think I did some videos on this. I said, as long as it keeps going up, I'm not going to sell. And then what happened is it had these huge gap ups. And this one was so extreme. I mean, not compared to this, but at the time, this one was so extreme. I'm like, okay, this is gotta crack. Now, in 3 months, the price could be higher. In a month, the price could be higher. Who knows? In a week, the price could be higher. But I just thought, you know, short term, there's gotta, some air has to come out of this balloon, you know. And so I put a stop in at 35.25, and that was probably when it was in here, Josh. I put in a stop at 35.25 just because of these huge gaps, and I got stopped out. And then I told Rebel Capital's Pro members that I would add to the position, but I would not add to the position until we got above 38, because that was the high water mark, because I wanted to see, you know, how this kind of played out. And it's obviously that was a good move. That was a good move. So if you guys want more kind of insider information or real-time trade alerts, if you will, again, not investing advice. I just tell you what I'm doing with my own portfolio. And we've got research in there from Lynn Alden and Chris McIntosh and live stream Q&As with the pros and everything. Josh will put a link in the description of this video and in the chat. But now it looks like it's headed down again, Josh. I don't know if you're watching this.
What would
Let's
make
go
you
over
flip to being a buyer again?
That's another good question. Where would I buy? So I would have to see something like this. You see how this went down, and you're going to get lower lows, lower highs, but then you get a reversal right here where it starts going up, and then you start to see some higher highs and higher lows. That's when I would consider getting back in. So let's just assume, let's kind of fast forward or zoom out. So let's assume it does this. You're probably going to have another big down day tomorrow. I mean, usually this is not if the candlestick closes like this, and who knows what it does, but if the candlestick closes like this, it's very unlikely you get like a big green. You're likely going to have some sort of, I'm no chart technician or anything or pro, but I do know the basics. And usually when you have a reversal day, it's going to be on high volume, and it's going to be something that looks like this. So if this closes all the way back up here, now that could be a good reversal day. Ah, dang it. But see how it's turning back down again. So if the candlestick is this, I guess, spread out, if you want to call it that, then you're likely going to have another down day. But I'd look for some consolidation, get back into this range where the candlesticks look like this, and then where it starts to go up and then kind of like this again. Can you see my arrow? So if I start to see this again, like higher highs, higher lows, and it breaks this just this Wile E. Coyote moment here, that's when I would consider it, but I would be very cautious. Extremely cautious. That wasn't a dead cat bounce, and that wasn't just profit taking from the shorts. So I would not only have to see this move up, but I'd have to see something like this, down, up again. I'd probably have to see like 3 higher highs and higher lows, that would get us maybe in somewhere in here before I'd consider it. And then I'd definitely consider it again if we got to all-time highs. So we got back up here. That's kind of my thought process. Let's go over to CNBC and check out what's happening to gold and then happening to the dollar and interest rates. And again, they're kind of blaming this on Trump's pick for Fed chair, but that makes absolutely no sense to me. No sense to me whatsoever. So let's look at the DXY first. So DXY, big move up, and they're blaming this on Trump's pick as well, which again doesn't make any sense because if anything, he's going to be super dovish. And I guess anyone that Trump would have picked would have been dovish. Maybe that was priced into the market, and maybe they're considering this guy to be a little less dovish than all the other of Trump's picks. Maybe that's what's happening. Maybe that's what's happening. And then silver was just so overbought that it just had to have a massive pullback, and that was a catalyst. That actually could be it, now that I'm thinking this through out loud. Let's go over to interest rates. We've got the 2-year. Now I'm taking that back, because if this guy was just less dovish than the others, and that's what's happening with the dollar, and that's what you're seeing trigger this epic biblical sell-off in gold and silver, then you would expect the 2-year treasury to be higher, not 3 basis points lower. So this does not jive with that narrative or that hypothesis. And the 10-year is basically flat. So we got a big steepener today, a big bull steepener. Not a big, but you've got a significant bull steepener. which, Josh, should I give myself a pat on the back again?
You have been spot on with
that. What Josh is talking about is the Steepner trade. So again, if you're a Rebel Capitalist Pro member, you would know about this. One of the bigger positions in my portfolio is what I call a Steepner trade. I think that's the technical name for it. It's basically what you're doing is you're long a bull steepener or a bear steepener. So I'm long the 2-year treasuries. I'm short the 10-year treasuries. So you're just playing the delta between the two. So even if you get a bear steepener where the long end goes up faster than the short end, or if you get a bull steepener when the front end goes down faster than the long end, you're profiting from that. So anyway, all the info's in Rebel Capitalist Pro. I'll stop the shameless plugs here. But now let's get back to gold and see what that's. Yeah, I really don't like the fact that gold broke 5,000. We'll have to see where it closes the day. If it closes below 5,000 on a short-term basis, I don't like that. Again, not that I'm selling my position or anything, but yeah, I wouldn't like that. I mean, the next support level you have is 4,600 or so. Let's see what the next support level in silver is. And then I'm sure the GDXJ is just taking it on the chin as well. Yeah, down 12%. I mean, it obviously it tested support here and bounced off that. Oh my gosh. I should just sign in. I have an account. I'm just not signed in. So you're looking at support right around here, 26, 26, 27-ish. So it did bounce off that. It looks like it's going to, well, who knows what happens with all this volatility. But if it closes above, let's say 27, that's decent. But again, that candlestick is ugly. That is an ugly, ugly, ugly candlestick. And it's very rare that you see candlestick like red candlesticks that look like this. Look at your gap down. Holy cow. It's just rare that you see this without more selling. In fact, and again, I'm just thinking out loud, guys. This is investing advice. I would be very tempted if we get close to the close today, like 10 minutes from the close, and the candlestick still looks like this, I would be tempted to short it. And not a long-term position or anything like that, but just for like a 3-day, kind of quick trade thing. I'd be very tempted. I don't think I'd buy puts because they'd be way too expensive, but just shorting the PSLV outright. Or actually, I'd probably short the other, what is it, the SLV, Josh? That's the big one, isn't it? And the reason I'd choose the SLV is just, I would assume it has more liquidity than the Sprott, so you got tighter spreads. Let's go over to Zero Hedge. I'm curious. I have not checked this out. I'm kind of doing this in real time with you guys, just taking you on the ride with me. Don Lemon arrested. What a clown. What a clown. All right. Okay, blah, blah, blah. All the political stuff. I don't care.
You just passed an article that said there was $4 billion in forced selling of silver today.
Oh, here we go. Yeah, but that's one of these premium things. Okay, so over 4 billion in forced selling in precious metal ETFs. Yeah, I mean that doesn't surprise me.
Maybe the basement trade, the dollar just got so strong overnight.
No.
I was just kidding, because that's what everyone says why the precious metals were going up, because the dollar was dead.
Yeah, no. Yeah, I mean, here it says silver's run versus gold just went too far, right? But gold's down 10%. So, I mean, how do you explain that? Yeah, more kind of just political stuff. Okay. Yeah, and again, I don't know if it's the market responding to this guy because the 2-year is doing the opposite of what you would expect if you're just looking at the dollar and precious metals. And so I'm hesitant to put my stamp of approval on that narrative. Let's go back to CNBC and see what's doing with gold. Okay, we're getting looks like a little bit of a bounce. Yeah, that's usually what you expect before it starts to go down lower. Let's see what's happening in silver. Even copper down big today. Look at platinum down 20% today. Wow. Man, I was thinking about going long that. I'm sure glad I didn't. But still, silver's, I guess, leading the pack if you want to look at it that way in the race to the bottom. Down 27.52% in one day. Wow. Wow. Well, just as a recap here, guys, because I know a lot of you own silver and gold. So another disclaimer, this is not investing advice. I sold my silver position way up here, fortunately. But what I would do, dang it. Okay. What I would do if I was going to look to get back in is, again, I would look for a bottoming pattern, I guess if you want to call it that, but candlesticks that look more like this and less like this. And I wouldn't just wait for a bounce because that's likely a dead cat bounce. I would wait for a bounce and then like 2 or 3 higher highs and higher lows getting back up here before I would consider getting back in as a trade or even as a long-term play. And then what I look for on the short side is into the close today. If we still have a candlestick that looks like this and not one that like where the bottom goes all the way up to the top, that would actually be bullish. But if it stays like this or goes down even lower, then that's when I would consider putting on a very, very short-term short position. All right, guys. Wow. What a couple of days. Just crazy. Well, if you wanted volatility in the markets, guys, you got it. That's for sure. All right. On that bombshell, enjoy the rest of your afternoon. As always, make sure you're standing up for freedom, liberty, free market capitalism. If you want to check out Rebel Capitalist Pro and get those contrarian insider insights and strategies, Josh will put a link in the description below. And I will see you on the next video.